I'm Rob Skeoch. I'm a retired professional photographer. I want to show you some of the best photos I've ever taken. These are my all-time favorite photos. Let me show you what I've got here. Now, I was a professional photographer. I worked at newspapers and then I shot pro sports. I was never a landscape photographer. Yes, I shot landscape and tried to sell them at art in the park type things, but I was really a sports photographer. And if I had a second genre, it would have been like editorial portraits. So the work that I did in landscape was mostly for fun, even though I thought I was trying to make money at it. Now, why am I talking about these photos now? Well, we're moving. We live currently north of Toronto and we're moving to Quebec. Now, we're joking that we just can't take the Maple Leafs anymore and we're going to move to Quebec. But the truth is we've sold our house and we're moving to Quebec. Now, the house that we have right now has a great darkroom and the new house has a darkroom, not as great. We're downsizing and a lot of things are going. So I'm going through a lot of negatives. I'm throwing away thousands of negatives, thousands of slides. And I'm trying to keep the ones that I like the best, and I'm trying to kind of find the ones that I like the best. It's a lot of work. Now, in a binder, I found these 6 shots, and these are probably, I don't even know why they were collected together. These were probably my favorite 8x10 shots that I ever took. Now, what we're looking at are contact prints. So I made contact prints, and then when I filed the negatives, I 3-hole punched the contact print so that it would go with the negative in a negative sleeve. So I found this little binder and had these 6 shots in it. So they do have 3 holes so that they can go in a binder, and they are contact prints, so there's no burning and dodging. These are straight prints, but I think there's some interesting images here that you might find interesting as well. So this first one I've talked about before. These are the roots of Rattlesnake Point. When I first started shooting 8x10, I actually borrowed a friend of mine. He had a Deerdorf, and he had a weird Kodak Ektar lens, or I'm not exactly sure, a Dagger Gold Star or something like that. Anyways, it was a borrowed lens, probably like 300 mil, something in that area. And I shot these roots of Rattlesnake. Now, I had been there before. I've been there since. This was probably my very favorite shot. Now, when I was young, I used to rock climb at Rattlesnake. So when I went there with my 8x10, I actually put on a harness and kind of tied myself off, because you'd hate to roll over the edge, just because you're under a dark cloth. It'd be a drag to fall off the cliff. So these trees are right at the edge of the cliff. And this is one of my favorite prints. This is also one of my better selling prints. But as I said, I was really a sports photographer. And to think that I was making money as a landscape photographer is just wishful thinking. So as I said, a borrowed Deerdorf, a Dacor, Gold Star, something like that. Can't exactly remember. Now, when I started to shoot landscape, there was a group of people in California organized by a guy named Per, people called it different ways. And he would do this landscape workshop. It was a gathering. Landscape photographers came from around the world, and we would go to Owens Valley or, down in Utah, some Zion, places like that, and take pictures. And there would be a group, maybe 20, 30, 40 photographers all shooting, 8x10, 5x7, 4x5, Hasselblad, whatever. And we would kind of hang out and work our way down the road and take photos as we went. It was a lot of fun. I wish someone would organize it again. Now I'm Canadian, so we're protesting against the U.S., so I couldn't travel to the U.S. anyways to go to it. But it was great times. I went a number of times. So this first one here is actually, I think they pronounce it Bodie, California. That's where the gold rush was, the 1849 kind of time. And apparently this is the saloon. So this is a photograph that I shot, 8x10. I remember it was like f/45, I don't know, quarter second, half second, whatever it is. And, must have used a filter to get the sky there. This Contact is a little bit light. I print it darker than this when I make a good print. But this is the old saloon in Bodie, California, shot on 8x10. I always loved it. It just brings me right back to the beautiful wood tones and the beautiful colors that are there, even though I'm looking at black and white. Now this next shot, again, is from one of those gatherings, and it was just an old barn. I don't even know where this was. This could have also been in Bodie now that I think about it. But I just love the detail. Like one thing I love about 8x10 is the detail. So I always try to find a subject where, wow, you really see the detail. The detail really comes out. And I mean, it might be a boring shot to you, but I've always loved this shot. I just thought, wow, this, maybe it's a technical shot, a technical assignment, but I just love the detail. Just, you can't beat 8x10 for detail. And these are contact prints. Now, when I was trying to sell prints, I wasn't selling contact prints. I bought an 8x10 enlarger, and I was making enlargements. My pictures need to be cropped. You can pretend that your pictures don't, but mine definitely do. Anyways, I needed an enlarger because I needed to crop them, and I wanted to make bigger than 8x10 prints. But again, this old doorway, it's an old doorway of an old shed, building, house, I'm not sure what it was, but I've always loved the detail on that shot. Now, if you continue down Owens Valley, I think it's called Owens Valley, you get to towns like Boulder, or I think it's Boulder, I don't know, Lone Pine, areas like that, and you get to these Alabama hills. This is not in Alabama, they're just called the Alabama Hills. This is like a Lone Pine kind of area. And you get up early, and there's these weird Alabama hills in the foreground, and then I guess that's Mount Whitney in the background. Mount Whitney, the highest point on the continental U.S. Now, this is sunrise. This was, as a contact print, it was, I mean, this is a straight contact print, but to print it as a negative, it was a little tough to print because you wanted to get a little bit of detail, at least, out of that foreground. And it was hard to get it even, the dodge even on that foreground. But, you know, this would make a nice print. It's got the full sun on the mountain, and then there's still information and detail in that foreground shadow. So this was like sunrise on Mount Whitney, shot on 8x10. By this time, I was probably using a Wisner 8x10, and I bought a Fuji 300C lens, and I bought a Fuji 450C lens, and shot on the Wisner in the early days. I ended up having a couple 8x10s. I borrowed the Deerdorf. The guy let me have it for like a year. Then I bought a Wisner 8x10, and then I bought an Ebony 8x10, which was the finest camera that I ever used. And stupidly, I sold it. That was a mistake. You should have just held on to it. Anyways, Alabama Hills. Tough neg to print, but I just love it. Now, again, on this trip, this is the Bristlecone Pines. I think it's called Bristlecone Pines State Park or National Park or National Forest or State Forest or something like that. This was the trip with the group, but I didn't go with the group. There was only one or two of us went on this trip. And you walk on this trail, and it takes you past these ancient, wonderful trees. And if you ever go there and you're going to walk on the trail, lugging an 8x10 and a giant tripod, do the trail backwards, because the best tree is at the end of the trail. So it's, I don't know, it's a kilometer walk with your kit if you go the proper way. If you go backwards, it's like 100 feet from the car, the best tree. Anyways, when I was there was nobody else there. It was cold. It was, dry. It's a tough road to get there. You might want an SUV, but what a wonderful place. there's lots of pictures of this tree. It's famous. I like mine. It's a good picture. This is a contact print, as I said. It needs some burn and dodge, but, use the filter to get the sky there. I like it. Now, this is a weird one. Again, this was Utah, Zion National Park. Another one of these gatherings, though. We went to Zion, and I was shooting 8x10, and I had one sheet of film left, And some guys, I saw some guys pull over on the side of the road that were part of the group. So I joined them, and we walked this, 10 feet away from the car, and there's this split rock. I shot one frame, 8x10. I've always enjoyed it. Again, this is a contact print. I print it darker when I print it. You burn it in a bit. It's got amazing detail. And this is a photo. Many people have, like millions of people have this photograph. It's always totally backlit, so it's always open shade. There's actually like a slot canyon between me and like 10 more feet. I'm in a slot canyon, dropping to my death. And then there's this cliff on the other side of the slot canyon. It's magnificent to see. It's magnificent to be there. And it made a good photograph. It was a nice single frame. I've seen this picture in books by other people. It's a popular shot, I'm sure. I mean, I'm not doing anything that hasn't been done before here, but I sure do enjoy it. And I just love. This was probably for me the heyday of when I was shooting 8x10. Again, I had an ebony camera. I had the Fuji lenses. I ended up with a couple more lenses later. It was magnificent gear to use. I loved every second of it. And I miss it, to be honest. But shooting 8x10, landscape, again, I wasn't a landscape photographer. I thought I was, but really, I made my living shooting sports. I hope you enjoy this. These are just the 6 shots I kind of ran into as I was going through. I went through every negative that I've taken. I've gone through it, and I've thrown a ton out, and I've kept tons of them as well. Anyways, it's all for the love of photography.